In this presentation, we are going to talk about what is anemia in the introduction, the rationale of this study, why we are doing it, the objectives, a bit of review of literature, the research methodology that has been used in this work, the preliminary results, as well as conclusion and a few recommendations. Right? So, introducing the subject matter, ladies and gentlemen, anemia is the most widespread micronutrient deficiency in the world, with more than 3 billion people of the world's population anemic based on hemoglobin levels. And it has also been reported that anemia has many health and economic consequences, and the latter impedes a lot on growing up children, adolescents, and pregnant women around the world. Anemia, we have many types of anemia available, which occurs in the human body, but for the purpose of this study related to diet, we are going to talk about iron deficiency anemia and megaloblastic anemia. Iron deficiency anemia occurs in the body when there is lack of iron and when there is poor absorption, whereas megaloblastic anemia occurs when there is lack of folic acid in the body. Right. Other factors which contribute to anemia include riboflavin, micronutrients such as riboflavin, other vitamins, and general infections, as well as diseases such as HIV/AIDS. And exposure to infections, parasites also contribute to making a person anemic. Therefore, we see that a failure to meet iron needs can be both dietary as well as non-dietary. The rationale: in a national survey carried out by the Ministry of Health and Quality of Life in the year 2004, it has been observed that 10.9% of the adolescents aged 12 to 19 were anemic, and a high figure of 17.7 was obtained for the specific group of late adolescents aged 14 to 19, adolescent girls aged 14 to 19 years. Therefore, this brings us another result which has been obtained is a study carried out in collaboration with University of Mauritius and SSR Center for Medical Studies. We have found that 35% of girls residing in Rodrigues are anemic. This is the finding for the year 1998. And we also have low birth weight. Children born in Mauritius with this percentage, 15.7 for the year 2006, with a low birth weight. Low birth weight is defined as a baby with less than born less or equal to 2.5 kg. Right, so the objectives of this brings us to the objectives of the study: to determine the knowledge of the secondary school girls on anemia and its impact on their health as well as the coming generation, to study their consumption patterns in everyday life, and to test whether the respondents are able to identify the inhibitors as well as the enhancers of iron. Going through review of literature, as mentioned before, anemia has a lot of health implications, and we see that in early pregnancy it can be harmful to the development of the unborn baby. It increases the risk of a mother having a miscarriage or stillbirth or delivering a low-weight baby, which in turn is linked to increased risk of perinatal and infant mortality. Also, this increases the risk of maternal mortality, especially those who have complications at birth that may result in hemorrhaging. And infants born to anemic mothers are more likely to be moderately or severely anemic than those born to non-anemic mothers. Right. In young children, we observe a lot of adverse effects, namely on cognitive performance, motor development, coordination, language development, and scholastic achievement that are not always reversible. And in adolescents, we see that anemia brings poor concentration and low cognitive performance. It reduces appetite and brings reduced growth also. In adults also, anemia impedes on them. The physical work is affected, the physical activity. Right. So we are talking about iron deficiency anemia. A very brief function of iron in the body, it is to transport oxygen from lungs to body tissues and its storage in muscles. And we see that folic acid, which also contributes, we have seen in past slides, to megaloblastic anemia. It is required for cell duplication because it helps to make the critical base pairs needed by DNA molecules. And we have 130 million babies that are born, approximately born each year, and 350,000 are born with severe birth defects. And this can be prevented if the adequate amount of folic acid is taken prior to conception and before pregnancy and during the first semester of pregnancy. Right. So for the purpose of this survey, we have done a survey. 700 questionnaires were used. It has been distributed in 24 randomly chosen government-aided secondary schools in the 4 educational zones of Mauritius. It was a self-designed type, and the data has been fed on the SPSS software and analyzed. So I am presenting the results of this survey. So first thing, we look who were the respondents, right? They were adolescent girls, right? And we see that most of the respondents with a 21.6% were aged 13 years old, right? And the lowest percentage, 11, with 0.3% of the total respondents. The socioeconomic status, 36.9% of the respondents claimed that every month they spend 2,000 to 3,000 rupees on groceries. And this is their demographic status of these respondents. 75.3 coming from rural area, while 24.6 coming from urban area. Concerning their awareness about anemia, 68.9% of the respondents accept that being adolescents, they require special nutritional requirements. And the most cited nutrients that they claim they require is protein with 21.9%, calcium 17.7%, and iron 9.4% respectively. 90.6% of the respondents could define the term anemia, but only 78.3% could associate it with the micronutrient iron. 34% respondents claim that they are unaware that folic acid can be the cause, is the cause in fact of a type of anemia known as megaloblastic anemia. Their perception, 61.6% respondents associated anemia with ascorbic acid as being a promoter for the absorption of iron, and 91.3% correctly identified sources of ascorbic acid. However, 4.3% respondents had the very wrong perception that chicken, rice, and pastries were good sources of vitamin C, that is ascorbic acid. Right. 70.1% of them said that they were unaware that tannins, bran, calcium inhibits the absorption of this mineral in the body. And the majority of them, that is 86.4%, are of the opinion that being anemic, being an anemic student in the class is going to reduce their concentration. Therefore, after carrying out this study, we can say that although most of the respondents could identify what is the problem of anemia, what is anemia, they were unable to give precise details about how it occurred and what is its exact relation to nutritional deficiencies. Therefore, we recommend that Mauritian students need to be sensitized on the consequences of nutritional deficiencies, particularly to those of iron and folic acid. And we also recommend that health and nutritional education of those students should be updated. They should, in fact, we can also say that it should form part of their curriculum so that they know what are the food that have a bearing, a definite bearing in their life, in their reproductive life, and in the life that they are going to have in the future.